Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. And once again, we're on a swivel at the sports bar. We're going to talk about Jason Whitlock's over-the-top obsession with Deion Sanders. I mean, there's a couple of videos on the show. And in the first video, Jason talks to Officer Tatum, who is a conservative like Jason, about why he doesn't like Deion Sanders, his coaching style, why he doesn't think it's sustainable. And some of his criticism to me is not as personal as he's going to get. And as long as it's not personal against Deion, it's about his style, about what he does is to run his team, and the fact that it might not be sustainable is one thing. But then Jason takes it to a whole nother level as he keeps going with his obsession with this man. And I think it's unhealthy. I think it's cringeworthy how far and how deep he gets in his dislike, disdain for Deion Sanders. I think it's cringeworthy. I think it's almost on the level of hate. He's putting stuff on Deion that's ungodly, and I don't know if it's really deserved, right? And it's amazing how much space Deion takes up in Jason Whitlock's brain. And like I said, I think it's unhealthy. So before I get started, uh, I just wanted to kind of share with you what I think about how he's behaving. I think it's not right. And it's his to do, of course. But one man should never have this kind of animus against another and be so public with it. I think it's really weird. So here we go. We're gonna stop sharing this, and we're gonna share some of those videos. Okay, the first one is his video with Officer Tatum, and let's go see what that one sounds like. Just a few minutes.
And Jason, welcome to the show, man. I want to talk about football because obviously you play football at the highest level, and you have a lot of experience. You've been around a lot of professional athletes, you've been around college athletes, and so I think you're the best person to talk to about this. Now, I think Deion Sanders is doing a tremendous job there in Colorado. I think he's playing a little bit of favoritism towards his sons, but I get it. But you wrote an article where you criticized
Fair
Deion
use.
Sanders,
Fair
and I
use.
want to hear your take. So, what's your thoughts on Deion Sanders, and why do you feel that he is not who I think he is at
I'm gonna put
Colorado?
this link in the description as well.
And
So if you want to
man,
stop
I'm
by.
glad you called me up to talk about this because you're the perfect person to talk to about this because I love that you're on the other side of this argument because, Brandon, I'm right. You played at Arizona, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And your uncle, Jack Tatum, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is awesome. And I almost want to know why you think he's a great coach given all of your real world, real life football experience. I'm a little bit baffled that you can't see through all of the sizzle and not see that there's not nearly as much substance to what Deion's doing.
Well, let me just say just a little bit of my perspective. I think Deion Sanders was an incredible football player, obviously a Hall of Fame football player, and I feel like that his strong point is that he resonates with the players. I mean, from the outside looking in, I don't play for the team,
Yep.
but it seems like he's a coach. He's a player's coach. You know, he love his players. He rally around his players. He motivate them on the sideline. He hug them. He treat them like they're his boys. And I think that attracts a lot of young athletes, even like myself, that you want a coach that kind of is in the culture, that played in the NFL, that succeeded in the NFL, and that's trying to build kind of like a team around that perspective. And I will say this, he does have an unfair advantage because of the transfer portal, because back in the days, it'd take you forever to build a team like that. But he has gone on to win, I don't know, 300% more games than they won last year in a team that only had one win.
Well, I just don't think what he's doing is built to last. And I think he's getting way too much credit. And you've already made the point, like, this isn't the same kind of rebuilding job that Bill Snyder did at Kansas State or any number of coaches have done, people that won at Northwestern or whatever, because we're in this era where you can completely turn over your roster. And so he didn't come in and coach the existing players better than the previous coach. He just
Let me stop that right there. See how unfair this is? Because they didn't just create the transfer portal for Deion Sanders. Do you know what I'm saying? Every coach who's playing in D1 football has an opportunity to take advantage of the transfer portal. The fact that that changes the way teams are built doesn't give Deion an unfair advantage. His popularity does, right? And his popularity does. His popularity is getting Colorado that much more money. His popularity is doing all that stuff. Now, you could call that unfair if you want to, but that's why they hired him, to do exactly what that's doing. It helps him recruit. It helps people want to transfer from teams where they're not getting any play to his team where they might get play, working for Deion Sanders and get a lot of spotlight. So Jason, and I'm surprised Tatum didn't pick up on this either, didn't mention that. So Jason is looking at the fact that he has the transfer portal as a negative. No, he's taking what every other team has been given, but he's taking it to another level because he's Deion Sanders.
just brought in a bunch of new players. And so, and that's the time we're living in. That's what the transfer portal has created. But I just don't think what he's doing is actually sustainable, because I don't think it's built on much substance.
Let me stop that right there. And I'm gonna stop sharing it because you get his point, and his point is legitimate. His point is legitimate from the standpoint that he has he's keeping it on coaching, and he's keeping it on what he thinks is sustainable for a football team. Now, all of that's fair game. So I don't have any problem with Jason on this part of the video. But the next video, he starts to go off the rails. And I'm going to share that one with you. All right. So here goes. Just hold on for a second. We're going to go share that next video. All right. And that's where I start having some problems with where he's going with this. You know? All right. Here we go.
Pee-wee football coach doing everything to pad the stats of his son, doing everything to try to get his son in the Heisman race and at the top of the NFL draft board. And there's no one Deion is unwilling to exploit to make that happen, starting with Travis Hunter. Are you watching what's going on with Travis Hunter? Guy misses 3 games with a lacerated kidney, comes back against Stanford and plays like nearly 140 snaps or something crazy, played him both ways. And then in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, the dude was so gassed, he got ate up as a defensive back. Why? This is a peewee football coach.
All right. So you heard that, right? You heard him. Now it's going from just football to something personal. Now it gets deeper than that. I got one more video. Now, is it legitimate that he played this guy too much? Maybe. But he's not the first football coach who thought a guy could go and he just played him. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you could have some criticism, but now he takes it to another level. This is a little longer video, but he takes it to another level.
Them in a real way. We're going to continue to be led astray. Deion Sanders and I are the same age. We're same high school class, college class, all of that. He's a peer of mine age-wise. I'm looking at a man at 56 who's still leaning into that prime time brand, that's prime time identity. I'm looking at a man at 56 who has made himself an idol. and has taken something negative, prime time. Because again, when you think of prime time and that persona he created as a football player, materialistic, no humility, in your face, I'm the greatest ever, and to still be thinking that way, materialistic, I'm the greatest ever, no humility, to still be thinking that way at 56 and to be putting it on display. And for other men in particular, a lot of my conversation is directed at men, and it's directed particularly at Black men. And but it's men in general, because we all struggle with some form of idolatry. Deion's are just easier to spot and see because he's in the public light. He's doing interviews everywhere. He's on 60 Minutes. He's all over social media. He tapes himself doing everything. So he's a great topic to talk about to get people to understand how idolatry is wrecking your life and wrecking our life and wrecking the country and wrecking all of us from moving forward. Because in this era of social media, we've all become our own individual idols. We've all become.
So Deion's popularity that he garnered from, this is fair use, by the way, that he's garnered from as a player, the thing that made him a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players at his position, and a pretty good baseball player at that, by the way. Nobody talks about that, but he was pretty good there too. That made him an idolatrous, mastering an idolatry because of his popularity. And a popularity that he that Jackson State, I believe, utilized so they can get put on the map. And now Colorado is utilizing so they can take their floundering football team and make money off of. But he is part of the problem that is destroying the fabric of our country because he's popular, because people like him, because he has a big ego. Really, Jason? Really? You know, it's almost like he's ungodly. He's like the Antichrist now. I just don't. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I don't think it's fair.
Become narcissistic. And then we think there's something important about a Deion Sanders, as if he's a special kind of human being that deserves to be placed on a pedestal because he played football at such a high level.
That means all the football players that the Mannings, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, people love Peyton Manning. They put him on a pedestal. Oh, how about Tom Brady? TB12. They put him on a pedestal, right? I mean, they don't ask to be on a pedestal. Maybe it's because Deion leans into it. In their own way, all of these other stars lean into what made them famous. Are they idolaters? Are they? Is that what idolatry is? Leaning into what makes people recognize you? Is it all insidious? Is it really? I don't know. Well, I mean, just a little bit more.
This blinds you from truth. It blinds you from seeing the world in a true perspective. It distracts you from your abandonment of values that, if you've had any relationship with Christian faith, if you have any understanding, once you start making someone like Deion an idol or yourself an idol, you're coming up with a reason to abandon your values. Well, so take.
Let me stop it right there. Okay. Now, Dion classifies himself as a Christian, right? He talks about God all the time. But is he idolater? Would he agree that, his ego is unchristian like? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, we hear Dion talk. We hear him talk about God and blessings and things of that nature. Is he upside down in his thought process? The bottom line is, I just think that if Jason Whitlock doesn't like Dion on the basis of how he coaches, that is unsustainable. Is it something that he thinks might fall apart after a few years, or that he overused a player here, that he promotes his sons there? That's all fair. But I think he goes off the rails with this stuff. Even though, I mean, he could make a case that sounds good to other people, but it'd be nice if you need to confront Dion and have a debate on that, because I think Dion believes he's a Christian man. I think he believes that he's doing things because God has given him the platform to do them. Now, I could be wrong, but your obsession with this man is unhealthy. I think it's cringeworthy. And every time you get a chance to smash down another black man like Dion, I think it takes a little bit away from you. Now, I listen to your channel on the Blaze. I don't agree with a lot of stuff you say, but I do agree with some. And I like to have diverse thoughts. I like diversity of thought. I like Candace Owens. I never used to, but she's right on a lot of stuff. You're right on some stuff, and then you're wrong on some others. And that's the way life really is, right? Because I'm right on some stuff for whatever it's worth, and I'm wrong on other stuff. But you know what? It's good to be able to talk and think and put your thoughts out there. So anyway, without further ado, listen, go. I'm gonna put this link in the description also, and people can go look at the whole diatribe from my man Jason Whitlock, and all of the stuff will be there. But this is just some food, something was on my head that I wanted to share with everybody out there on my channel. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Put some comments in there if you're a sports fan. What do you think about Dion? What do you think about his coaching style? What do you think about Jason Whitlock? Anyway, our pain, marriage, politics, and sports. Over and out.